For today's job, we're going to discuss how to replace the front struts on my 2018 Colorado. This is how I tackled the process. It's maybe not necessarily by the book. I would always refer you to that, but this is how I did it. This is how I got it done. You are required to remove the sway bar and the sway bar end links to get it done this way. I have another video on how to remove the sway bar and the end links, but I have included the tools that you'll need anyways. Of course, you're going to need a couple ratchets. As for sockets, I got a 10, you got a 13, 15, an 18, and a 21, as well as an 18 millimeter open end wrench and a 15 millimeter open end wrench. I prefer the ratcheting ones, they go a lot quicker. You'll need this number 6 hex head, this Allen nut, and a T30 Torx. I believe it's 30, but you'll need the Torx bit as well. And of course the bungee cord. It's going to be used to hold the assembly together as it's loosened, and then various extensions, torque wrench as needed. And yeah, it's kind of a time-consuming job. It's going to use a little bit of muscle, but we'll get it done. So I used the GABRIEL ready mount struts as the part. Got them from Rock Auto. There are a few options. I really wanted AC Delco to match the rears, but I could not find the ready mounts, the pre-setup. Otherwise, what you have to do is you need to get the spring separate or reuse the spring, separate it from the strut, use the new strut. You could have gotten I could have gotten an AC Delco, but I didn't. I decided to just use the ready mount for simplicity and time's sake. So hopefully they last. GABRIEL seemed like good enough of a brand, and yeah, that's what we're going to use. Let's go ahead and get started. First thing, as you can tell, is I have the car lifted and supported on jack stands. I do have the jack underneath of the A-arm, lower control arm, and this is kind of the backup, but also you're going to use it to raise and lower the control arm as needed. So this is the driver's side. As you can tell, the sway bar is already removed. I have a video on my page on how to remove a sway bar, which you can go back and reference that. Sway bar and the end links. So this hole right here is where the end link would be. And this is where you would use the appropriate tools, as I mentioned, to remove the sway bar and reinstall it when you're done. Next thing, we're going to remove a few lines here. Brake caliper can stay on. You're going to remove this bracket right here, 13 millimeter bolt. And this sensor comes down right here. There we go, it's a 10 millimeter bolt right here. There you go. And then, as part of that, you have this sensor. And the Torx bit you're going to use for this is a T30. I'm going to use it on a ratchet just because it's a little bit easier. It's in there a little tight. You can try for a screwdriver if you want. Remove that. Okay, and then with this removed, the bolt comes out, the sensor comes out. There's a little bit of grease and dust on it. And then we're going to come back here to this 10 millimeter I pointed out. We're going to remove the bolt. And I just use 10 millimeter ratchet with an extension. And that'll come right out. And then with that 10 millimeter removed, it actually has a little locking washer that holds it on. I'm going to come up here and remove this with the 13 millimeter. Okay, this bracket's removed. I just put the bolt back in. Keep in mind and keep an eye on, this is a metal brake line. So you don't want to bend it too much or tear it or rip it or anything like that. It's really just to get you a little bit of movement, which you'll be surprised how critical that is once we get to the actual strut. All right, now we're going to remove the upper control arm here. Use an 18mm open end. Okay, and you'll need to use this hex. It is the, sorry, it is the size 6. It goes in right here. There's a hole. Okay, so you're gonna put it in a hole. And it's gonna be the 2-wrench system. You're gonna use one and use your hand to counter it to get the thing loose. And then when you do that, mine tended to fall out on the other side. You may need to get a hammer or a puller to separate it. But let's start by loosening this nut. Alright, it did the same thing. It just slid right out. I didn't need a hammer or a puller or anything to get to it. With that down though, you do still need to support your arm here, because if you don't, so what I did is I used this little 13-inch bungee cord, wrapped it around the upper control arm, just looped it in the holes. If you don't, then it puts all the strain on your brake line, and that is definitely cause for failure there. You could lose your brake line and end up doing a brake job and a bleed. Don't want to do that. So with those removed, that's really it. Now we're going to get down here to our strut assembly. We'll remove this. And then the 3 bolts up here. There we go. So it took a little bit of pulling. I used a little bit of a longer ratchet. You can also put a breaker bar on the end of it. I use the handle of my jack. Fits right over the wrench. See? And you can use that. Put some PB blaster in there if it's rusted. But it's 21mm. It's only on one side. The other side is welded in. Over there, so it's only one tool on this side. I have loosened it. Don't take it all the way out though. It helps to have it supported while you remove these nuts. Okay, now for the 3 bolts at the top of the housing. I use my open end ratcheting wrench because it fits right in there without having to come in from the top or anything. You can't get a deep well in there. It's too tall for a regular socket. So I found the 18mm works just fine. It wasn't too tight, so I didn't have to kill myself trying to get it off. It's the same as this one. And then for the 3rd one, it's further in the back. So you kind of have to sneak your wrench back in here. There you go, you can't really see. But it's on. Let's loosen it from there. It's a little bit slower going, but you get the gist. There we go. Whatever you do, do not loosen the center one. This one in the center right here is the one that's holding the spring assembly together. If you were to loosen that, the spring would come loose, and when you try to pull it out, it could be harmful. So make sure you only do the 3 outside ones, not the center one. Okay, so I have the top 3 completely removed, and this bottom one is mostly removed. As you take the bottom one out, this strut is going to want to expand. And when it does, it should basically be free to come out. You still want to keep your fingers and everything clear from here. It shouldn't come shooting out. It should expand slowly. Alright. Getting that out. Okay, bolts out. Now watch. You can see as it expands, and the whole assembly comes right out. The whole assembly just comes out here. Push up the upper control arm to give yourself some space. And that's strut out. Alright, here's the old strut that we just pulled out. And the new one, this is the GABRIEL. Looks pretty good. It's black, it's shiny. The nuts up here are smaller size. These are 15mm, as these were 18s. Still plastic on both of these. It seems a little bit smaller in diameter, but that shouldn't matter too much. As to the quality and longevity of GABRIEL, I don't know. I would have preferred AC Delco, but I couldn't find a complete AC Delco assembly. So GABRIEL it is. So So let's go ahead and get it installed. All right, now you want to make sure that you put it in so that this is lined up at the bottom and these 3 studs are lined up at the top. I'm going to do the opposite of what we did to take it out. I'm going to start down here, put it in, raise the upper control arm to get the studs cleared. Slide it in up here. And it'll be into place down here as well. Take your 15 millimeter on this one, whatever brand you have. Get the studs started, we'll tighten them on. Okay, and then we'll put our 21 millimeter bolt. All right, so I removed the jack from my lower control arm so I could get it leveled in here. Down, even, bolt in, good. And tighten it down. All right, so got this in. Like I said, these are 15. Tighten them. The torque for these is 43 foot-pounds, or at least that's what I was able to find. So we'll tighten those down to 43. Now I don't know how to get a torque wrench on these to be able to torque them accurately, so I'm just gonna guess at what they should be. Down here though, I found the torque for these is 74 pound-feet, so I'll get my torque wrench and tighten those down to 74. All right, got my torque wrench, and I'll get it down to 74. As you can tell, it is going to compress a little bit in there as we get it. That's the point. So I took my jack and I supported at the end of the A-arm, the lower control arm, to get this back in. So what I'm going to do, it's going to take 2 hands, is with this raised with the jack, I'm actually going to press down on the lower control arm and get the nut on so it just bites. And then I'll be free to let it go and start putting the nut on. Alright, I got it in. What I ended up doing was, you can tell if you just press hard here, I used my arm, pressed down on the control arm and supported the bottom of this with my knee to help a little bit, because the jack didn't quite get it there. And I got it on, so I was able to just screw the nut on enough to bite, and I'll be able to torque it down. All right, and it's the same strategy to tighten as it is to loosen. Use my open end wrench at the top and my Allen head at the bottom. We'll tighten it up. All right, with that on, once it's tight, you should be able to torque it with just the wrench without needing to use that. The torque for it is specified at 37 is what I found. So if you're comfortable with 37, try 37. But as always with torques, verify with the manufacturer for the actual torque. Don't just go by what I say. That's what I'm doing. Don't forget to tighten your lines back in. This is the 13 millimeter. You just put the little bracket in the hole, tighten that bolt down, tighten this one back down, and then put your sensor and your torques back in. That's really all there is to it. It's not too terrible of a job. Of course, put the sway bar back in if you removed all or part of that. And again, refer to the video that I have on my page for sway bar removal on this car. Put the wheel back on and lower it. I recommend after doing a job like this to go in for an alignment, because you could knock something to pieces, something could be apart already. Really just to kind of keep everything in order. Rotate your tires if you need to. But yeah, that's how you replace the front strut assembly. Feel free to like, subscribe definitely if you want more content, and leave a comment for what you feel I did or didn't do right. I always enjoy hearing from you. Hope you found this video helpful and it helped keep the project a little less intimidating. Thanks for watching.